Hey, I'm Ron Drotos from keyboardimprov.com, and today I'd like to talk about rhythm changes. In jazz, you hear about rhythm changes. Rhythm changes. What are they? Well, basically, they're the chords to I Got Rhythm. But, when I was younger, as a teenager, and then even in college, I used to get a little confused. I didn't get a sort of a global answer to this question. People used to say, oh yeah, if you want to learn rhythm changes, look at I Got Rhythm, right? But then I'd look at a tune like Anthropology by Charlie Parker, and the chords would be a little different. Or I'd hear Miles Davis play the tune with John Coltrane, and it just sounded like, it wasn't quite related to what I knew rhythm changes were, and I got confused. So I thought I'd go through this historically so that you just get a sense. You don't have to memorize everything I'm talking about in this video, but I'm going to point you to specific tunes to work on. Most of them are found in the real book, and you can get a good sense of rhythm changes so that if you see something, you know how it relates or how it goes away from the original. So the first thing to do is to talk about I Got Rhythm by George Gershwin. It's not in the real book, but you can get the sheet music pretty easily now, in George Gershwin books or on the internet, whatever. And he wrote the tune in 1930. His brother Ira Gershwin wrote the lyrics, and get to know the lyrics a little. I think jazz musicians need to know lyrics. Lester Young is famous for knowing lyrics to all the tunes he played, but a lot of people do. And even if I don't know all the lyrics, which I don't for most of the tunes, knowing a little bit of it gives me a little bit of that warmth of the tune, or if it's playful, it just gives you a clue to the tradition of the tune, and then you can decide to play it like that or not. The original tune, I Got Rhythm, was in A-A-B-A form. And the ending had a little extension. And each A section was 8 measures long, and the bridge is 8 measures. Usually played in the key of B flat, and it goes something like this. That's the first A. Here's the second A. Goes to a D7th chord. Last A section. Here's the extension, 2 measures extra. So the original version of rhythm changes in the actual tune I Got Rhythm is 34 measures long. That's not a typical form for jazz musicians to improvise on, and most people shorten that. They just make the last A section the same as the second A section. So it's A-A-B-A, 32 measures, 4 times 8. If you want to extend that and improvise over that, it's fun to do. You would just tell the musicians, okay, we'll add the tag every time in the solos, or play it in a way that they can hear it if you know the musicians, and they'll pick up on it, and then they'll go with it. But most tunes do not use that are based on rhythm changes. So here's the thing. The tune instantly became a huge hit, but also in the Broadway stage and a pop song of the time, but also for jazz musicians to play. And one of the reasons, I think, is that it has this basic 1-6-2-5 chord progression. So many tunes at the time had that. Blue Moon. Later on, Heart and Soul. And it's a very good way to just stay in the key you're in with a little variety, but you're not really going anywhere. You're just kind of a little paddling in the water, treading water, you come back. B flat, G minor, C minor, F7, and then you do it again. So that's the original I Got Rhythm song with the changes. And the bass line was that 1-6-4-5, and then it crept up chromatically. It went like B flat 7 over D. So what happened was jazz musicians started writing riff-type tunes on this, and they would call them other names because the melody was different. But the chords were the same as I Got Rhythm. Lester leaps in. Lester Young with Count Basie Band is a great example of this. rhythm changes. The bridge just goes to D 7th for 2 measures. It's like a dominant 7/3 chord. Then G7 for 2 measures. Then C7 and F7. Basically goes to the 3, which is D, and then around the circle of fifths or fourths. Depending on which way you go, it's fourths or fifths. So jazz musicians instantly started writing those different melodies to them, and then also changing the chords a little. Like you could start with B flat, and then the second time substitute a D minor for that. So you might see that. Or instead of G minor 7th for the second chord, they might put G 7th, dominant 7th. And D minor, G7. So you see these little variations. So if you go to Charlie Parker tune, Anthropology, you might see some of those different variations. Even in the swing era, though, they then substituted some other chords for those. You could go like, let's see, B flat 6th, up chromatically to a diminished chord on B, then C minor, C sharp minor diminished, C sharp diminished. So you have, so you see it's starting to get a little more chromatic. Art Tatum did a great variation of this, which was later picked up by Thelonious Monk, where he started way in left field on F sharp 7th and just went up by the circle of fourths. So we got to B flat. He just did the standard thing after that. He didn't play the tune I Got Rhythm to that, but he did his own thing. And then Monk would, later go something like, that, but so those are a few things in the swing era that they did, and a lot of riff type tunes like band, the trumpets doing that. Hundreds of tunes, if not thousands at that time, were based on rhythm changes. So it's I Got Rhythms chords with variations without that tag at the end. So it's a 32-bar form. In the bebop era, they started writing more complex melodies to this because that's what they did in the bebop era. So you did hear tunes like Anthropology. Here they would do something different. They'd go F minor 7th to B flat 7th. These 2 5s. Circle of fourth motion. Bebop era was about putting these circle of fourths or 2-5 relationships anywhere they could. So you have this. Anywhere you can. Later on, they went farther afield, and if you hear Miles Davis from the Plug Nickel do the tune Oleo by Sonny Rollins, you can't even hear the changes when they're playing. They're basically staying on B flat and basing the whole thing on that, maybe a dominant 7th, altered voicing or something for 8 measures. Or you could do like B flat, B flat 7 to B7. You might hear something like this. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Do that for the A section, and then for the bridge, yes, go to D7. You could also, starting in bebop era or earlier, put a 2-5 with every chord in the bridge. So instead of just going right to D, you're going to go A minor to D, D minor to G, G minor to C, C minor to F. all these variations are possible. And then they could even go chromatically down. The Eternal Triangle, the tune by, I think Sonny Rollins wrote it, or Sonny Stitt, but it's on that album with Dizzy Gillespie, Sonny Stitt, and Sonny Rollins. They start with the A minor to D, and then they just go down chromatically. And back to there. So you might hear a tune like this, and its rhythm changes. Might hear a tune like this. Or you might hear this. And its rhythm changes. You might hear this. Still be rhythm changes if it stays with B flat and goes to the same area for the bridge. And even in the bridge you can go far out. My piano teacher Billy Taylor told me a thing where you start on D and you go, and then it brings you back to B flat 8 measures later. So the sky's the limit. What I would encourage you to do is just play a lot of tunes with these chords. I got Rhythm, Oleo, Anthropology, Moose the Mooch by Charlie Parker. There's tons of them out there. And then as long as you know that these variations are possible, you won't get as confused like I did when I was starting out. So good luck, and happy improvising.